sparks are just a faint light. A little light can be seen, but not much. It's a precious thing, and there aren't many of those. Every few heartbeats, light tears through the darkness in front of its eyes. Then it remembers the good things, and the bad ones disappear into oblivion. It imagines itself eating, drinking, stretching its arms. After doing all that, the deepness surrounds it again. It gradually learns to be tired, but it also learns to crave a little excitement, but not yet. Neither this deep self nor the outer world is prepared for that encounter. A voice is calling from their side. It's in the deepest depths, but the light is everywhere, and it belongs there. It isn't time just yet. Its new wings have not yet grown, and its new self is not mature enough, so it waits. It decides to take care of the immediate problem first. Imagine itself eating, drinking, and stretching its arms. It finally left its existence behind. Chapter 2, for Love and Family. This is hard. My joint cracks loudly. They say pain is the first sign of the body from fatigue. I have my doubts about the person who made that claim. It's Monday morning, and the sun is nowhere to be seen. To be honest, this mildly warm day is quite dull. After 2 days of light rain over the weekend, the temperature hasn't dropped at all. The air still feels quite stuffy. The weather is downright depressing, and I'm in a bad mood since I can't seem to find a place to relax. I'm getting old. I can't do this anymore. Looking around the ground floor at Hermitage, everything looks the same as always, when in fact the whole ceiling on the upper floor was just torn apart just last week. Even I'm surprised that the damage isn't more extensive. Since it took a lot of effort to clean up the plaster and redecorate the walls, it's unfortunate that we didn't ask for a higher fee to expel the scaly silkworm. Salil has been asked questions over the phone all weekend. She feels incredibly guilty and doesn't seem to realize that she herself deserves the most rest. Luckily, she didn't come over today. It would have been really awkward otherwise, while Scarlett and I were coaxing. Coaxing? I have no idea. While Scarlett and I were convincing Salil into staying home, at least visit Hermitage once again. She seems like this person, even after being the victim of this whole affair. She brought the rest of the lilac grass to the bookstore and asked me to help keep it hidden away. She was forgiven pretty quickly. She must have thought about that a lot. But that's not all she wanted, and unfortunately, none of her wishes came true over the weekend. Which makes it clear that this trouble's far from over. This feeling's only getting worse. I get a stomachache at the thought of having to ask Scarlett to help wrap things up. Scarlett already has a week's worth of trouble on her hands. Even without taking into account problems the weekend caused, there's no doubt in my mind that she's planning on coming after me for the ladder to collect my debt. Really? You must really have missed me a lot then. Speak the devil. Scarlet Stall. What's that a reference to? Scarlet Stall. Oh, Scarlet's tall. Okay, it's just supposed to be a space there. I thought this was a reference to like some novel or something. No, it's just missing a space. Okay. Scarlet's tall and elegant figure appears in the entrance of the shop. She pushes up her sunglasses and flips the door to closed. There's so many double words. We had one at the time. I'm just trying to read through them, but like it doesn't help that I can't read, and there are quite a few just random typos and grammatical errors. That's not helping at all. But it's more to do with the fact that I can't read rather than giving grammatical errors. But when it does slip up, I just don't know what to do. But yeah, let's continue on here. Finally, you're here. My pre-motion might not actually come true, I suppose. So I bury the thought in the back of my mind. Any books here? Nope. Still it's the same 6. Oh, never mind. There are 3 more. Called Cthulhu. A kitten with tentacles is looking straight at the reader. from the front of this hardcover book published in 2017. It's a rule for a role-playing game in which the players seem to be cats. The author dictates a lot of chapters to various characters inhabiting the game's world, the things the players can do as a cat, and all the mysteries hidden in the cat world. Unlike other games of this kind, the author did away with a lot of the more complex rule sets. Common systems such as dice rolling to determine actions have been simplified, in this case, being replaced by a less complicated cat dice, an invention by the author to streamline the experience of a casual player, because dice are so complicated. Despite its casual appearance, the author has spared no effort into great detail. Many of the fictional old gods in the game are apparently imitating classic imagery, but have changed into cat versions of former selves. One can't help but smile while playing this game. Apparently there's more to come and more things to be introduced in future chapters, but this one's already pretty good. Wild Magic, a hardcover published in 2017, the picture of a giant horrific creature on the cover is a bit upsetting. This book is for advanced investigators who have already read The Trial of Cthulhu. It is devoted to magic, spells, incantations associated with the Cthulhu myth. It covers all the knowledge that an aspiring magician must master, from the cheap street parlor magic tricks all the way to the cult rituals to summon various ancient gods. Everything is included in this small book, making it a dangerous read. What makes this book particularly horrifying is the fact that it's told straight from the viewpoint of a magic practitioner living in a world based on the Cthulhu myth. Being exposed to all of this might drastically change how the readers perceive the world around them. Alright, in The Trial of Cthulhu, hardcover published in 2015, there are strange letters and illustrations on the cover. People known as investigators are willing to pay any price in pursuit of our world's deepest and darkest hidden secrets. This book serves as an introductionary manual, secretly spread among these investigators. It describes the necessary skills that investigators need to have and the many dangers they'll face, most of which are horrible and twisted enough to make them wish for a quick and merciful death. The historical setting of the book is in the United States in the 1930s. That's nice full knowledge, right? I'm not crazy, right? I'm looking this up. There's no way to say full knowledge. But this is twice now. Yes, I'm not crazy. That is not how you spell knowledge. Okay. Just want to make sure. Alright. The knowledge contained here is enough to shake up how you view the world, seeing as it lays open the dark hidden truths behind our history. In addition, the book also has many aspects of Cthulhu mythology, including the introduction of deities and creatures, magic spells, and ancient scriptures, all of which are described in vivid detail. Cool, and none of them gave us any clues. Alright, so that was worthless, I guess. Yes, your conversations, alright. Finally, a rare chance to sit down. The lawyer is as breezy as ever as she tosses her briefcase onto the desk and casually unbuttons her collar in attempts to breathe more freely. Good to see you again. How's your weekend? Pretty bad, actually. After all, I'm paid for working overtime. Any progress on the road collapse case? Yes, but frankly, it doesn't do us any good. Due to the high cost of maintaining the blockade, the decision has been made to focus on reopening the roads. This means that they will have to start cleaning up any damaged areas, replacing the entire road, even if it affects the follow-up investigation. That's sooner than I thought. Rash decisions like this will affect the credibility no matter what. Do they really think this is a better solution than waiting a little longer? The Department of Public Transportation is probably involved, who knows for sure. But it lightens the load for you, right? As if I fight to death that paycheck. The lawyer shrugs dismissively. With a sudden shift in priorities, resources will be diverted elsewhere, which means it'll be hard for me to get involved in the investigation. Keep in mind that I'm not just a lawyer. I'm just a lawyer, not a certified detective. What's more, analyzing the cause of road damage requires field research. You've seen the surveillance footage, but apart from that, our finds aren't much help in this investigation. I have more information. I want to know how the road was damaged, whether it melted or was blasted open. I don't believe a flash of light could have caused a crash in such a neat hole in the ground. Something just doesn't seem right. The unusual structure speaks for itself. Unfortunately, the city seems to be flooded by the unusual these days. Sounds like you've at least seen the sinkhole with your own eyes. Yeah, but my intuition tells me something bad. Something I don't want to come true. Scarlet sounds tired and rubs her eyes. The roadblock looks as if someone used a sci-fi laser on it. But there can't have been an explosion. Describing it so vividly is just making me sounding more confused. There's no point in talking about it. In a few hours, they'll be taking a sledgehammer to the place. When the repair is complete, more than 20 tons of new concrete and steel bars will bury our clues, and an extra layer of asphalt to be added on top. Your list of complaints could fill a whole book. How about you? Did you find the person who sold lilac grass to students of Phoenix High? No. At least came here on Saturday and described several faces that she saw, but what can I do about it? Even if she painted a portrait, sketches of each person, it would be of much use. I can see you still want to track down a lead. Scarlet seems to have no intention of listening to my grumbling, so she taps on the table, signaling for me to go on. If you let the lilac grass circulate in society, sooner or later, those supernatural things will target the city. Today has been hard enough without sowing some more seeds of misfortune. It'd be foolish to believe that just because one successful escape is suddenly all over. I envy you for being so motivated all the time. It's just that you've been cooped up too long and have used up all your energy. At the end of the day, though, this task should have been left to professionals, not to lawyers or researchers who are only good at guessing and letting other people do their dirty work. So, you're saying we can't have a cup of tea together? You're not making me any happier with that statement. Is there no progress in the investigation? You probably won't like my answer. Is there enough evidence... Is that there not enough evidence to attract the attention of higher-ups? We really need something more concrete to prove it. If it made the whole situation regarding lilac grass public, only an absolute fool would ignore it. You can't walk around with that kind of information and do nothing about it. Then why? The bait I put out there wasn't necessary. They're already working on the case. Are you saying that someone started investigating drug trafficking at the school before we did? Not exactly. However, since they don't seem interested in our information, it's likely they have some information already. However, with my current contacts, I can't find out which team is actually handling the matter. Everyone I know regarding that issue is being watched very closely. Doesn't seem like a regular hierarchy either, so it's hard to get information from the outside. Sorry I'm not of much help to you. No, I'm the one who's been putting up with pressure on you. There's no use in lying yourself. You're going to sleep peacefully until you get this sorted out, are you? I wonder if you ever get a good night's sleep in general. Has anyone ever told you sometimes it's just better to keep your mouth shut? Like, do you want to die? Scarlet's in a really bad mood today. Twink just seemed to crack a joke. I got excited to change the subject and stop irritating her with the facts that this case is getting more and more complicated. But professionals, jeez. Even if we get a private detective to help us out, it's not like you involve other people. And what kind of professional spends their day investigating other people's affairs? Sounds like you're holding a personal grudge. Yes, you have a personal grudge. Just think about it. Don't you think it would cause an even bigger headache if the person in charge has a hard time finding so much as a shred of evidence, and finds out all kinds of buried stuff by sneaking around and lockpicking instead? Well, you may have sounded this is Victoria, London. This is the digital age. I forgot to ask. How are Salil and the others? The Holler hasn't changed much, but it seems to itch a bit when it comes to contact with water. It's a good thing that it's autumn, so wearing long sleeves helps cover it up. A bicycle accident is the excuse she's going with. It looks pretty extreme, so may let students be more careful on their bikes from now on. That is not a solution to the problem. Is there really nothing we can do? For now, the best solution is to protect her and let her rest. The wound can't heal normally, but the world will gradually, forget about it, and that should make it return to its usual form. It's not organic damage at all. The only advice I give is that you should cover it up with something like a bandage, for mental health reasons more than anything. It must be tough to have to deal with all this from such a young age. I'm sure she's strong enough to deal with this. The hand injury is probably nothing compared to the ache in her heart. Look at this kid. Calmly getting her hair done. She was in contact with a scaly silkworm, and basically just ruined one set of clothes. The fact that her face and limbs are still intact is pure luck. We can only hope that they get along with their club again. Speaking of which, what else did Elise want? Like I already said, a group of people supplied her with lilac grass, and as soon as Elise tried to get back in contact with them, they disappeared. If you left a check mark in the alibi at school, they meet with you in the following morning. Since it's a rather passive way of contacting someone, there's nothing we can do if they don't respond. Even though she's quite mature, Elise is still just an ordinary high school student who's a bit too smart for her own good. I shouldn't put too much pressure on her. Do you know anything else about this meeting place? I wish I'd give you an answer to that, but well, forget it. It seems to be a normal alley. The residential areas near Phoenix High School have pretty much the same alleys ever since they were built several years ago. For at least, there are no windows on either side of the alley, and just one locked back door from one of the shops. It's pretty dirty, so no one would go back there voluntarily. Last week, Salil went back there too, and surreptitiously, because that's a real word. No. And left a few marks or something, but in the end, there wasn't a single person there, and all she saw was a little cat running around making a mess. What she want? She almost got herself killed by that scaly slugworm, so why would she go look for trouble again? It's just some childish notion of one end or something. I've already spoken to her in great detail, so save your breath. Scarlet's lips are pressed tightly together. Maybe she knows I'm right. She grumpily rubs 2 fingers against her forehead. I highly doubt we'll find anyone by those means of those markings. Maybe we shouldn't hope for that to happen in the first place. You shouldn't really leave behind anything if you're sticking around. At least describe them as a rather commonly dressed. They don't wear any fancy clothes or accessories, but the way they spoke to each other sounded really frightening. As I say, evil comes in many forms. If they don't look as evil as they do, that just means they're hiding it really well. But do you really think selling dangerous drugs to immature students would keep such a low profile? I thought the same thing, and in the beginning I assumed they were just a couple of young drug dealers trying to make some money. But once Elise said that they were mostly middle-aged, and seemed very calm and collected, something felt off. When's the last time Elise saw them? Must have been about a week or two, when Salil first started using lilac grass. As soon as her stocks were exhausted, she went to get more. You know what happened after that. For more information, you just ask herself instead of coming to me. Wait, a week ago. Is that why you were so concerned about it? Change is a signal itself. A street in Moto is destroyed, and instead of that, a group of outlaws suddenly abandons their operation disappears? Under normal circumstances, those two things are not related, but none of this can be considered normal anymore. The smaller circle, the more likely the connection. It does make sense, but the lore doesn't look convinced. I mean, there are 1,000 people who share a birthday, for example, but would anyone call that a connection? Just so you know, I'm saying this for your own good. Your logic isn't logical yet. I don't agree with that. Because, like, if that monster thing can basically take a part of Salil's hand and just make it disappear, why wouldn't it do that with the bridge? I don't agree with myself as a character here. But oh well. If there weren't anything logical to rely on, I'd happily do so. But since there isn't, let me do some more digging. The main reason I came here today is because I wanted you to look for some clues. I've just lost a big lead. I don't want another one to go to waste. The door may be fixed and any clues destroyed, but there has to be something else we can think of. Who knows? I'll just keep looking for some more excuses to file another investigation, or collect some more surveillance tapes. I know it doesn't seem like the best approach, but times have changed. I'll give you Lisa's phone number so you can contact her. Don't push her too hard, and if anything comes up, let me know, and we can discuss it together. That seems to make her feel a lot better. Scarlet chucks a notebook and a pencil at me. I'm afraid all this won't be enough. I need to write down a couple things and mull everything over. You can't just be as reckless as those two high school kids sometimes. There's no obstacle that you can overcome. That can't be overcome. But you have to find the right opportunity to do so. I don't need you to tell me that. Never mind. I'll take care of it. Since we don't have anything more to discuss here, I'll head back now and look for some other possibilities to delay the roadworks. I'll keep in touch. Sure, you guys are welcome. After grabbing her briefcase, Scarlet walks towards the door and leaves swiftly. I look at my desk, moving the ashtray aside to grab a map of the local area beneath it. I draw a circle around Phoenix High School and another one around the Outer Banks. Even on paper, those two are pretty far apart. 10 centimeters could be hiding many connections, or maybe nothing at all. The end of this tumultuous week just adds to the mystery, which does little to keep up morale. Nevertheless, we help the two people. I take a deep breath, trying to chase away the anxiety that lingers in my heart. It takes a while, but at long last, the rain comes pouring down. The streets are full of people, the city's busy. Footstep echoes as water splashes from the puddles that are quickly forming on the concrete. The usual sounds of people surprised by the sudden downpour, rushing to find a dry spot. Although Hermitage is situated in an old building, it has a pretty good drainage system. The rain is streaming down the gutter extension on the upper floor, two waterfalls forming on each side of the store. A certain amount of rainfall provides a nice soundscape for work. It improves one's focus and is somewhat calming. But this isn't that kind of rain. It's just annoying. Frustrated, I put down my pen and notebook. Many thoughts and theories fill up my notebook, but they haven't brought any results. Even with Scarlet's promise to continue to help the investigation, things aren't going too well. There really aren't many people qualified to help out with this. It's a very complicated situation, and Scarlet's leads are just about the only thing we have left. If she loses them, or if her sources prove unreliable, that's it. As Scarlet said, if we don't find something concrete to follow up on, the whole case will be on hold. If our contacts and sources are no longer a viable option, the case could turn cold quickly. And without any official support, it'd be next to impossible for her to keep digging. Maybe it's time to attack this from a different angle. I close the notebook and try to direct my focus somewhere else. How do I do a child female voice? Looks like I can do a hi! Hi, I'm baby cat. Hi, hi. Hi, hi, hi. I don't know if I can do that. I don't know. She kind of looks a bit depressed. But I've got two depressed female characters already that I've given voices to. I have no idea what kind of voice to give this person. I also assume it's a girl. I don't actually know. I guess that technically could be a guy, but you know, I don't know. Let's go super depressed. Why not? Because that's the only those are the only voices in this game. That's not. Hey, how you doing, pal? All right. Hey. A child suddenly appears in the doorway and throws me an informal and unfriendly greeting. Nico, what are you doing here? She has no... Okay, Lizzie girl. She has no umbrella, and the rain dripping from her sweater is starting to form a big puddle right there in the doorway. She has changed one bit, still short as ever, with wide, dark eyes, messy hair, and a roy of grumpiness around her that makes it seem like she's angry at the whole world. Other kids at Edge, we're preparing for school exams right now, but she's not like the other kids. Never has been. Well, I kinda just need a place to crash, shelter. Just she says that, I notice a big, waterproof backpack she's brought with her. It's bigger than herself. She must have dragged it all the way here. The backpack is bursting at the seams, and I can make out all kinds of sharp edges. The door inside can't be closed. Why are you carrying so much stuff around? What's going on? It's just every day that I need. She said you'd have a spare room for me. She? Things are already clear. I instantly know what Nico's talking about. Scarlet hasn't forgotten about last week's events, and just like me, she's not the kind of person to just put things to rest if she's not satisfied with results. So, you've been in touch with Scarlet? I have an empty room, but it's just a storage room that consists of, well, just walls, really. I only just started cleaning up the mess in there yesterday. That's fine, no prob. I'll take it. Hey now, I haven't agreed to anything yet. You got electricity? Electricity is an issue, but the pipes aren't connected to the second floor. It's just a storage space after all. And you live on the first floor, right? Don't worry about all the other jazz. I can start thinking about myself. That being said, I'm afraid my budget's already thin, so I can't really cover your living expenses. No problemo. I'm anonymously developing video games for some online friends of mine. I should make enough to support you a little on the side. That sounds like more than just a short stay. Would you mind telling me what's going on? Go on, you know why I'm holed up here. If you're just here to mess around, then it's not worth putting this place at risk for. Nico stares to the ground for a while before finally speaking. The guy's there, so I can no longer stay. The guy? Can only mean one person, her guardian, who she doesn't seem to be getting along well with. A year ago, the process of finding a place for Nico to stay was an arduous task. Because she'd already been living on the streets so long, finding a guardian through official channels had proven nearly impossible. But leaving her out there to fend for herself simply wasn't an option. The man cleared out of plans when he offered to take her, not seeing the actual human being in need, but free labor instead. At first, Nico convinced herself that a give-and-take relationship was better than receiving anything free. A man like that isn't the right kind of person for you to take care of you. It's not your fault, really. He's usually quite nice to me. I'm treated alright. I get food and clothes. I do some work around the place, like updating the firewalls. But hacking the orphanage and stealing their money? Can't bring myself to do it. She kicks around. I didn't think they'd go that far. So the orphanage is a government-run institution? That makes it even easier. I mean, you know, there was this government agency that literally put their social security numbers in the HTML code. And then, for some reason, you know, the Missouri government decided that they were going to sue the professor that figured it out. But to obviously no avail because, you know, Control-Shift-I really isn't that hard to do. Or even just Control-Shift-U to view the entire page source code rather than just expect element, but you know. Some people are stupid. Sometimes someone tries to make an image or a menu, and they draw an image, and then they wonder why it's not a menu. I don't know. I'm just an 8-year-old kid. I don't understand stupid people.
True?
It's almost a year now. The people there don't care at all about us kids. They're just in it for themselves. I'm only forced to help them with their schemes. Taking away their funds would mean all the kids there go hungry. That's just unacceptable. Nico mutters something to herself. Even though she chose to walk away from the orphanage, she still seems deeply concerned for the other kids there. I've seen this expression on her face several times before, a mixture of fear and nostalgia, like a traveler leaving behind his hometown. Both driven, yet homesick at the same time. Well, I think it's everything that needs to be said. I open the drawer, place the storage keys in Nico's hands, and ruffle her hair. I wasn't kidding about the only walls part, just so you know. Mind prepare yourself mentally before you enter. Take whatever you need, just don't snatch any of my valuables. Once you set everything up and made yourself at home, we'll have a nice dinner together and talk about everything. How's that sound? Just to be clear, nice dinner is your way of saying instant noodles, right? You know it too well. No worries, that's fine by me. Nika picks up Noah's bag, which sounds dangerously close to ripping apart. She drags the bag like a snail drags its shell. An apt comparison, seeing as to how easily she can fit herself in it. Hey, and thank you. Dragging her bag, she slowly disappears out of sight. Shelter, huh? I wonder which one was more trouble. The bustling sound from upstairs still hasn't stopped. It's been that way since the afternoon. Nico seems to have gotten settled in and gotten comfy a little too fast. She has been trained for all kinds of situations, and I don't doubt for a second that she's currently practicing all these skills upstairs, quite audibly. All the equipment takes up way too much space, but to be honest, I neither have interest nor the qualification to step in and get rid of it. Well, man the latter. After Nico shortwired the entire building's air conditioning system for the third time, I finally have some motivation to go upstairs and fix things, most of annoyance. Turns out, I'm not as savvy as a tech whiz as I thought I was, but by the time we finally manage to repair it, the sun's coming up, dipping the horizon in a tint of golden yellow. She busies herself with a little pile of stuff she collected, her eyes glinting, and stays there for a while. Nothing I can do about that. I surrender to the bestie kid and make my way downstairs to kill some time before the store closes. It looks like whoever's in charge of the university isn't planning on giving me a break anytime soon. Why, hello there, good sir. The door opens and a tall man quietly lets himself into the store. At least you won't be dripping all over the place. His umbrella made sure of that. He slowly puts away his long umbrella and flinging the last drops of water out the door. His movements look comically mechanical. To tell you the truth, I quite like people who do everything with an air of courtesy. And introverted self-discipline reflects a person's character. And talking to people like that in private can lead to some interesting, calming conversations. Unfortunately, this guy is definitely an exception to that rule. Pardon the intrusion. Hope not bother you. It appears as if you only just came downstairs. Just fix a couple light bulbs, just repairs here and there. And I gotta say, you dropping by so casually is still a little weird to me, if you don't mind me saying so. But there's one thing I've learned, is that you're persistent. To what do I owe the pleasure? I about what happened over the weekend, between you and those two ladies. Just some finish touches, you know. Ask questions, looking for clues, that's all. Also, if you had some sort of emotional attachment to any of that junk up on the second floor, let me just apologize in advance. I doubt my words make a difference now. His shrugs were proof of him being able to show any emotion. I came to you, bearing the consequences far bigger than old pieces of furniture and antiques. So in human words, there's something troublesome going on again. I'm afraid that's the case. A man of your intellect must have already known that a thing as dangerous as lilac grass would have not had its true origins with little school students. If that stuff was readily available and easy to get, the city would already be burning. I casually dropped my notebook inside a drawer at my desk.
I do care about this matter quite deeply.
At least the message leads me to conclude that there is indeed a group of people supplying it to the students, who then distribute it at the school. It's a very covert operation.
So, how exactly did Miss Elise come to know about the supply channel?
Unfortunately, she doesn't remember. That sounds strange, but trust me, after what those two girls went through, she wouldn't purpose that information for me. I guarantee you that much. This might be a case of tampering with memory somehow. After all, we're talking about a group of people who accessed to the real thing. It's possible that her memories were altered.
What a cruel fate to fall victim to such manipulation. Still, if the source can't be located, we might all have to endure horrible suffering.
Well, judging from what you said before, you seem a little more familiar with the source, right?
If I knew more, I wouldn't have to ask you for help in protecting the victims.
Sorry, you misspelled the V, and I was completely confused what I was trying to say.
Young people today have their own way of doing things. It pains me to admit that both you and I are most likely aren't as familiar with the ways as we'd like to think.
In other words, setting this guy's melodrama aside, there's still something brewing in the drug traffic community. I make sure to take notes in my head. It's just time of information, but maybe something to go on. So, what exactly are you implying?
Awareness has already been raised successfully. For now, I want to make sure that the hidden dangers are minimized.
At least and Salil can definitely take care of themselves. They're tough, believe me. If you want to get rid of the looming danger, there's no other way but to tackle the whole thing at its roots.
Unfortunately, today's visit is related to me finding some unpleasant news.
No hold back to sugarcoat it. It's not like I've ever associated your visits with funny jokes or good times. It's the way I do his voice. Like, I effectively choked myself to do his voice. And it's not very comfortable. Alright, let's try that again. Alright.
I don't think Miss Elise had any luck locating the group last weekend, did she?
She didn't. Even though she knew the right code, there was no response whatsoever.
A stranger should not die in the wilderness. Well, a source within the group made that statement right before abandoning all contact with me. Last weekend, actually.
Sounds ominous. Something's wrong here.
It seems the group has already started to hide or disband while we're still busy with other matters.
Is your information reliable? So, you're no longer considered an associate. They might have tried to mislead you on purpose.
It was this particular informant who managed to get rid of surveillance when Miss Leela approached you and gave me the opportunity to tip you off.
Slil had barely left the store when you arrived, so it's no coincidence.
Well, I have this chance to apologize. Our free time is too precious to consider more covert and secure means.
I don't think your whole act is very over the top. If it weren't for the fact that those books are very revealing, I'd have no idea what your intentions are.
In short, just as you place your trust in Miss Elise, I choose to place it in you.
Strangers should not die in the wilderness. It's not hard to understand that you call yourself a stranger, but what does wilderness mean in this particular case?
They're always proud to call themselves missionaries, though it's hard for me to agree with that point of view.
For foreigners scheming and plotting, I should have handed you over to the NSA or something.
I mean, what's the NSA gonna do? Like, we're in China, and that's a U.S. agency, but, you know, of course it fuels your fire. Add to your list of things that motivate you. Needless to say, you'll do better to wait with that until after this is resolved.
Anyway, without more information, solid accepted words, I wish I could take better care of at least Salil, but I've reached my limit. And that's precisely where I can help you. Notice the briefcase, a little more solid than usual. If I ever need a plasma rifle or a time machine, have you got that stored away in there too? Please, manage your expectations. He responds to my sly attempt at wit while going through the briefcase. Before they didn't know how to use the lilac grass, and naturally, they had never encountered a creature like a silkworm. But with everything that has been happening, we have to consider the possibility of similar situations occurring in the future. Sounds, smells, scratches, hair, any suspicions, sightings must not be missed, which means you have to stay alert. That's why I've been dropping books as heavy as bricks on my desk. I'm just gathering as much information as I can, and with no eyes on the inside now, it's all up to me. I'm on my own. I flip through the pages of one of the books, which, unlike modern paper, gives off a strange, almost sour smell. The depiction of a creature with many feet, 3 heads, and a long, slender tail inside. Obviously, not a silkworm. You seem fairly certain I'll come across one of those things. Have there been other incidents anywhere else recently? Even we, as a group, cannot relate to everything as recorded here. If Salil dealing with the silkworm has solved all our problems, the situation would be much easier now. That's not the case. Yes. There's still no actual emotion in his voice, just a strong sense of purpose. Additionally, I was going to take this opportunity to see if he knows anything about the accident, but right now it doesn't seem like the best moment. So you really want me to read through all this just in case? A seemingly daunting task, as I'm well aware. Nonetheless, I'm quite confident that I'll pose no challenge for a man of your caliber. Whatever you say. It's not like I can leave this place anyway. So, you were still able to do nothing before you've managed. Len's still having another go at it could leave her scarred forever, even more than she already is. Your means will certainly not be limited by his walls. However, to make it go more smoothly, use knowledge to protect yourself. I can't say your concern inspires a feeling of safety in me. Every time you speak, it sounds way too ominous for my taste. Ignore my quips, he puts away his briefcase and carefully arranges his hat. And you are, once again, right about that. Tracking down the group of people is quite an ominous undertaking in itself. Well, it looks like my visits bore some fruit today. Time is precious, so please, allow me to visit a locale to confirm something. What a busy man you are. If you have any more clues, I won't have to remind you to share them. Certainly not. My compliments. Have an almost pleasant evening. The sound of his leather shoes are clacking on the ground becomes more distant by the second, soon disappearing into the evening air. My compliments. Another evening down the drain, without a hint of free time to myself. So we got some more books. Alright. Hold on. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Wait, I don't remember that one at all, though. Oh yeah, okay, no, I do. Okay. Alright. A short book wrapped in craft paper. The author is unknown. It's barely been held together. The reinforcing staples on both sides stop it from falling apart. And it has many dark spots. A lot of the pages look ripped apart, and some were even replaced or earned by hand. This book has definitely seen through a lot. The book contains a large number of symbols and obscure imagery. The author examines them and explains their meaning, pointing out the significance of these symbols in various religious ceremonies. The whole book is dividing the symbols into 4 essential categories: identity, physical objects, behavior, and purpose. A symbol does not appear in a category. In fact, the author assigns a meaning to each symbol accordingly and according to its importance, and makes use of an odd logic of categorization. For example, one symbol is categorized servant, forest, blood, and communication. At the same time, the author interprets it as a servant of some sort of group who's responsible for providing blood in a forest ritual of communication. A handmade book with unique binding, the author is unknown. The book looks very obscure. The front and back cover have plating made of walnut wood, held together by a string of sheep's intestines. The author writes about bizarre advanced creatures. He claims that they have a strong spiritual connection to beings he referred to as ancient gods. The connection is the reason for their mindless servitude and them viewing these ancient gods as masters. So many of these creatures are mentioned that I have to write them down one by one to give them some kind of order. The writing style and font are unusually delicate, immediately drawing in the reader and giving them some strange sense of familiarity. This book shows monographic, but it still looks very tattered. The book frame is framed in a very traditional style. The corner of the cover is cracked, and the remaining part of the cover has some traces of seal, obscuring everything but the word collection. The book seems to have changed hands many times, surface damaged. Some of the pages are dangerously close to falling out when you flip through them. The front page has been glued to the hard paper and was printed in red. It contains the quotes from historical leaders of the past. This book is extensive and detailed record of an ancient general's various conquests and expeditions. It chronicles every single victory and loss. After a victory, he would lead his entire army to hold a grand sacrifice, holding the seal towards the sky. The text says, "We shall forever stand like rocks to be remembered. They will chant our names in glorious songs and celebrate us in a joyous dance. Let the beast be forever on our side. Follow the ceremonial rites and chant along, with your voice twice as loud and your harvest twice as fruitful. Let us bask in joy and happiness, where good fortune shall favor us, and we shall be protected again, whatever sorrow and mystery lies out there." The book describes the exact time and cardinal points in which each sacrifice was held, but the format doesn't resemble that of any known calendar. The author drew a star with a strange remark on the last page. Its meaning is unclear. We got a book down here as well. Cthulhu Mistress Volume 1. A translation of Cthulhu myth. I wonder if the publisher realized that the cover contained a dangerous Necronomicon logo. The first thing you see when you open the book is a vintage poster with eerie photos, unsettling news, and a mysterious map. The book contains Sir Lovecraft, more famous novels called The Call of Cthulhu, The Temple, and From Beyond among them. Some of the pages contain creepily handwritten notes. While this is obviously a clever gimmick to make the reading experience more immersive, it seems almost surreal. The Whisper in Darkness, for example, parts of the letters sent in the story were replaced by actual handwriting. They even added a fake coffee stains to it. The last story, the Dunwich Horror, is about the outer god Yog-Sothoth. It is the only story in which Yog-Sothoth's human offspring is mentioned. The translator's name is Yao Zhenghu. I think I've heard that name before. I'm glad you have, because I haven't. Ooh, TV news. Here are the details of tonight's report. Recently, internal organizations have found large-scale shipwrecks in waters east of Manila, the Philippines. Investigations have been launched. It is reported that judging from the number of parts that are found, about 5 vessels must have sunk. No official ship registration numbers were found at the salvage sites, which fuels theories of them being illegal fishing vessels. The analysis has been slow due to an advanced stage of erosion. According to experts, the vessels most likely sunk around 3 years ago. No remains have been found during the initial deep dive salvage operation. A list of recovered clothing items and professional belongings have been made public by the Philippine authorities and the International Maritime Organization. The discovery is being taken very seriously, given the number of incidents that have occurred in the area in recent years. The International Maritime Organization will hold a more detailed press conference in the coming days. It's a cruel world out there. I don't know if just sea travel, judging from the news, accidents still frequently happen. If there were illegal fishing vessels, it's not at all surprising that they didn't call for help. However, no bodies found, and the crew members may have managed to escape. It's somewhat strange that the wreckage suddenly appeared after just like 3 years. There's a lot of Maritime? I have no idea that word is. There's a lot of maritime activity around the Philippines, so it should have been discovered much earlier. What happened out there? It didn't happen that far away. Was it just a regular accident? I should stay vigilant and keep an eye out for strange things happening in other places as well. For right now, I can't really think about it. I should concentrate on the task at hand. So we got more internet. Let's deal with chickenbox.com. Nico told me about the site once. It seems like her internet friends are active on the site too. I should ask her about it sometime. What's going on with the site? Here's some random links. Nice work, man. The server's free. There isn't enough press for games and spread all over the place. What's the site? What if those are actual URLs? Based on the fact that the URL structure is nearly identical, just a random number at the end of it, I assume it probably is. But maybe not, who knows? The Razor Prince will make an awesome VR game. A 2.5D horizontal action game where you play as a boy in this magic world. Okay. I don't really care about these blog posts at all. I don't really see how they're relevant. God, the King Death. I don't care. Yeah, I'm not reading this. Cthulhu. Okay, this might be important somehow. Wait, is this all by the same guy? Hold on. Yeah, it's all Black Feather. I'm not reading your novel. Bookmark there. We get all encompassing detail. Credit you, of course. why people refer to it as a myth when the author himself labels it as all science fiction. I mean, they're referred to as gods, but ultimately that just means that they're extremely, supremely powerful. And being more than a human isn't that impressive when it comes down to it. Okay. Alright, well, that's everything in the, MMO Central forums here. What text messages? Oh. Oh shoot! I totally forgot to turn the tab book. I forgot about it too, actually. It makes me feel like I'm doing a lousy job. I'm sorry. I've been really busy this week. I'll try to make time for it. It's okay. Take it easy. Right now isn't a good time to go over anyway. Is something wrong? It's nothing. Just a whole lot of things to take care of. If you need help with anything, call me. Thanks, I appreciate that. Oh, just out of curiosity, who told you about the Trail of the Missing Fish in the first place? Didn't you mention that to somebody recommended that to you? Sorry for all the trouble. It's no trouble, just curious about what the person told you it was about. I can't text. What the person who told you about it looks like. Actually, I can't remember him too well. It was a tall man. He looked like a foreigner, but he spoke Chinese very well. What's wrong? Seems like I've forgotten what he looks like. I'm sorry. I just had a hunch that maybe this guy had something to do with it. Don't worry about it. Please just let me know if you remember anything. Alright. No. Of course I will do. I'm sure I'll remember eventually. Alright, and that's gonna do it for the day here. Do I want to continue to another day? We're at 57 minutes. So the fear here is that the next day is going to be another random, like, 2.5 hour day. I think, okay, so yeah, we'll call this episode here, and then continue on with the next day. That'll probably about 15 minutes long. And then we'll go from there. But yeah, that's the new episode of Hermitage here. I'll see you guys next one. Peace.